What's your YouTube day here from Zephyr Wargames, and it's been a long time in the making, but as you can see I've got a now updated Noble Knight deck profile. So yes, Noble Knight's received 2 lots of support in Extreme Forces, both in Izadil, the Noble Knight Link monster, and in the spells with Glory of the Noble Knights. Now, it's a very, very good card, and we'll get to it. When we get to it, I'll explain why. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, tell you the ratios that we've got, and explain why, and then kind of show you what they can do. They're an incredibly powerful deck, and very, very useful in this upcoming format. Sorry. Especially because the format hasn't been defined, so you might actually get some rogue decks playing, or rogue Noble Knights being played. It's a very, very cool deck to trial out. So, without further ado, let's take you through the profile. So we start off with pretty staple much. Triple Noble Knight Madrot. This is the most expensive card in the deck. It is the one to get hold of. If you want secrets, they're 15 quid each. If you want platinums, which is a shame because platinum rarity is not too delectable for most, but is about £3, £3.50 each. We play him at 3 because he is our combo starter, which is why we also play Triple Merlin, because Merlin is technically 3 Madrots, so you get into Madrot easier that way. We then play Triple Noble Knight Gawain. Now, Gawain is very, very powerful because if you control a light normal monster, you special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Now, most Noble Knight monsters are treated as normal monsters unless they're equipped with one of the equipped spells, and they're all light, of course. So it helps you get your combo pieces off, especially because you only need to control a light monster, a light normal monster. So it's very, very powerful, and it actually helps contribute towards a combo of getting a Izadil out while still having a Noble Knight as well. It's a shame that Izadil isn't like a generic warrior or like Mrs. Radiant. If it should have given like 500 attack points to all Noble Knight monsters or something like that, it might have been really, really cool. Anyway, next up we play double Noble Knight Brothers. Again, very, very powerful, more so now than previously. It lets you special summon 2 Noble Knight monsters from your hand, but they cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except Noble Knight monsters. But again, because of the Link monster, you're going into Izadil and pushing plays forward that way. And then he's your own Digustal Emerald, so once per turn you target 3 Noble Knight and or Noble Arm cards in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into deck, and then draw 1. And that can be very, very powerful later game, or basically going first as well, because there are ways of getting multiples into the graveyard that gives you that extra +1, especially if you want to be drawing into your hand traps. Next up, we've got double Noble Knight Boars. 2 is more than enough. You can play 3 if you want, but 2 kind of gets the job done. You don't really need to circle around him as much as you used to, and you don't need to sit on him and protect him as much as you used to either. He can be very, very useful to get you your crit spells that you need, but can also be very, very powerful in helping the plays extend. We then play for the last kind of Noble Knight monster is the one at Dristan. Now, this is very, very cool as well. He is a generic like effect monster. You do have to bear that in mind when you're playing Gawain. But while you control a Noble Knight monster, your opponent cannot target your monsters with less than 1800 attack, except this card for attacks or with card effects. When a Noble Knight Arms equipped spell card is equipped to this card, target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it, then target that target. Sorry, you can only use each effect once per turn. So he's a nice little protector when he's on board. So again, after you've built your board and maintained your board, equipping him with stuff like Destiny can be very, very important to kind of hold your opponent off and then beat through with the rest of your monsters. Last of the Noble Knight cards is 2 Guinevere, Queen of the Noble Arms. Again, quite straightforward. When it's equipped to a light, it gains... Sorry, if it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. If it's to a dark monster, if the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster at the start of the damage step, you can destroy this card and then destroy that monster. So it's a nice little kind of 1-for-1 playoff. Next up for our hand trap lineup, we've got double Ash, double Ogre, and double Veiler. Now, the reason Veiler is making more appearances in my profiles in the sense is because Veiler can be more powerful against what I expect to be the upcoming meta of just a Metaphors Electromite kind of taking the key role. If you do want to play a Reaper version of this, of course you could take out these and play 2 Reaper because you do have the space in the extra deck. But Effect Veiler can actually do a lot more to a Metaphors Electromite than Ash Blossom. So in that sense, that is more useful, and so is Ghost Ogre. So, coming into the future, depending on whatnot, Ash is just a nice little generic that hits a majority of decks. Ogre has a nice balance of destroying the certain cards you want to. So, for example, your opponent's Spiral Resort. At this moment in time, because we don't know how the spirals are going to adapt, you hit that resort, you put them in a lot of trouble, so that's where Ghost Ogre becomes more prominent, of course on top of hitting Electromite as well. And then Effect Vader just nuking a card at this moment in time can kind of catch your opponent off guard, because they're not expecting Effect Vader to be as heavily used, which is why I think that a nice little ratio of 2-2-2 can work nicely. But at the end of the day, the hand trap engine all comes down to your personal preference and what you feel you're going to be facing to kind of adapt it to the way you want. You can easily play free Ash, free Ogre. You can play free Veiler, free Ash, free Veiler, free Ogre. Any combination you want. Even putting Droll Lockbirds in there as well. So it does give you the options to kind of play around it. And it also helps you when the special editions come out as well. Because most people are going to be holding on to, I believe it's like Call from the Grave, I think the TCG name is. People are going to be holding on to that to hit the Ashes, when really your Effect Values can do you just as much damage. Anyway, that's it for the monster lineup. Quite straightforward for a Noble Knight kind of setup. Majority of Noble Knight kind of adapts and changes with your Gaiwins and your Justins and how many more extra Noble Knights you want to put into the deck. Now for the spells, straightforward, triple Glory of the Noble Knights. This card is incredibly powerful. So you target one Noble Knight monster you control, equipped it with one equipped spell from your deck that can equip to that target, You can only activate one per turn, so it's a very, very nice card that you can set and buff up your monsters as well. But it also helps get you to the correct equipped cards that you want from your deck very, very easily and very, very fast. We then play triple Caliburn. Now, obviously, ratios on the swords are kind of entirely down to you on how you want to play it. But triple Caliburn, double Excaliburn, you can play this at 3 if you want to. Like I said, it's entirely up to you. Double Gallatin, double Destiny. Now, Destiny can be played at 3 if you want to. There is a different version of this deck where you can play like Dark Holes, Torrential Tributes and stuff like that, and you rely on Destiny a lot more to protect yourself, to kind of go from there and protect your main monsters. And then the one Dark Noble Knight Sword, you don't really need 3 of these, but the reason we've got these ratios here is because you're going to be sending 4 with a Zidil to the graveyard to kind of move your plays forward, so it kind of helps fill out the board, and that again can activate brothers a lot more consistently and early. We then play double Desires. Now you can play Upstart Goblin, you can play Pot of Duality if you want, but because we're going more for a special summon build, especially with Merlin and Madrot, you don't really want your dualities. I just feel that Desires is always going to be a nice little top deck card, because at the end of the day, if your back's against the wall, this top deck can either win you the game or confirm your loss. If you're already in a losing position anyway, you might as well play this, play it, get the +2, and that +2 could start your combos off again, catch your opponent off, and actually win the game for you. I then like to play the one last chapter of the Noble Knights, just because of a last minute late game kind of top deck that can again extend your board if you need to. You don't have to play it, it is a 41 card deck, so it is down to personal preference. Again, you can take that out for an Upstart Goblin should you wish. And then we've got obviously the one Rhoda, the one Monster Reborn, because that is incredibly powerful and useful in this deck now, just helping to extend your plays if you need to, or of course bringing back Link monsters when we get to the actually. I'll show you what we're playing to move that forward, and then of course the one Judgment, because it's always live and it'll be the out to absolutely everything in the game. Now, evenly matched is kind of like an issue at this moment in time that will hit most decks, but with Noble Knights it's kind of okay in the sense that yes, it can clear off your back row, but it's how you really want to play the deck, and if you're worried about evenly matched that much. If you are worried about evenly matched, I did check out Asian Persuasion's deck, and of course he does do a nice little ratio of Judgment and 2 Scoldings, which is a very, very good ratio to kind of deal with evenly matched, but it is down to you on how the ratios you want to play. You can play Warnings, you can play Strikes, it's up to you on what Solemn Brigade you want to put into the deck. I quite like Judgment at this moment in time in this version of the build. If I want to go more trap heavy, of course I have other alternatives that I can use and abuse. Next up we got for the extra deck, double Azidil, the 2 Tales of the Noble Knights. This card is really, really good in this deck. Yes, it's very, very good in other generic warrior decks, but in this deck as a whole, it's still very, very good and useful. So if this card is linked summoned, you add a warrior monster from your deck to your hand, but for the rest of this turn, you cannot normal summon, set, or special summon monsters with that name, nor activate their monster effects. You can send any number of equipped spells with different names from your deck to the graveyard. Special summon one warrior monster from your deck whose level is equal to the number of those cards sent to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of Azidil once per turn. So the link kind of allows you to search out for your next turn plays, when it's linked summoned effect, but then it's obviously its second effect can help get you another monster to the board to then put you into one of your XYZs and stuff like that, and that can then get back the Noble Arms you've just sent to graveyard, which is really, really cool and powerful. Next up, now I'm still teetering with these, but I've got double Sacred King and double Articus. You can play these at freeze if you want. Definitely play these at freeze if you want. It's just an alternative that I'm trialing out. Because I'm not going with Reaper focus build, I'm trying to give myself as much options in the extra deck as possible to kind of use and abuse and play around with. But I see quite a lot of people playing 3 of these because they just focus going into these, which is absolutely fine. I quite like having the other options of your Utopia package, your Tornado Dragon, and your Bagooska if you want to go a little bit slower, because Bagooska can be very, very helpful in stalling out the game to get to you what you want. I've then got 1 Clear Wing and 1 Rose. Now, Rose kind of nukes the boards and resets, and this can be used with Ghost Ogre and, of course, Ash Blossom, which Monster Reborn can kind of then help on top of that. And, of course, you can bring these back with Monster Reborn should you need it. It is an option to play. You don't have to play these. If you want to drop these out, I'll definitely go up to the 3 of each of those. And then for the Link monsters, I've got an Akesset Magician because I always like Akesset Magician in my deck. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because it can be very, very useful and powerful for bouncing stuff like Deco Talkers, and then opening up another spot if you need to, or opening up another spot if you need to below it, and then you can get an XYZ or another Link monster down below it, and then using this and another one to go into a Link-free Deco Talker, speaking of which. And then, of course, the one Borrelo Dragon, because it is a nice little out to most tower plays, in the sense of stuff like Cleafort Towers, or any other big boss monsters that your opponent can't kind of like protect into the extent that they want to. Borrelo can be a nice little out to that and kind of get control and maintain the board, and gives you a bit of a beta on board as well. Once your Azideals are useful or done their usage, you can then link up into a Borrelo should you need it, and it's an incredibly powerful kind of early turn play or late turn play, which can win you the game hands down. So, that is it for the Noble Knight deck profile. I hope you like this. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas of building your own version and giving yourself a go. Now, of course, you can either net deck it, try it out, see if it works for you, or, of course, we highly encourage you lot to kind of build and adapt to the way you were. We're trying to give you the skeletons for you to work around with and move around with, and then kind of go from there. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.